whether you're investing in real estate or the stock market or Bitcoin or precious metals, whatever it might be. We have to deal with what is, not with the way we want it to be. What we get fired up about is what we think it should be and what we want it to be, rather than staying focused on what is. And this is what is. Secondly, there's another point that I want to shine a light on, which is we used to use the phrase that, what this is the new normal. Well, there's still people who are waiting for it to either go back to where it was or come to a stop or for something to happen. There's not going to be an event. Given what's going on in the global macro world, you got wars with China or wars with Ukraine and Russia. You got China doing what it's doing, India doing what it's doing. You got Europe and the EU kind of dealing with energy crisis. The point is, this is the new normal. This is all what it is. There's not going to be an event that this all of a sudden comes to an end or changes dramatically. Like, this is it. It's going to either escalate or it's going to de-escalate. But the point is, the new normal is the uncertainty. As investors, what we have to do is stay grounded in the regional, as real estate investors, we have to stay grounded in the regional economic fundamentals and know that they're going to change. For 2.5 years, like we got used to low interest rates, we also normalized that all boats are rising on a high tide, and the tide's coming in different regions, and we have to pay attention.
I agree. Now, I want to get to Alberta and Saskatchewan, because I got to give Mr. Alberta his opportunity to praise Alberta's praises. But because I think one of the things that I like to bring always to the things that we do, Patrick, is like real tangible. What am I doing about it? What's actually happening out there? And I believe, and I've said this right from the get-go, anyone who's ever heard me speak at Rain, I say this all the time, which is you're going to win the game of real estate by managing risk. That's the game of real estate. The game of real estate is won by being a good risk manager. And there's some things right now that people could be doing. And all along COVID, as we were getting crazy increases, we were telling people to watch, Patrick, and it was all risk mitigation and management moves that we were recommending. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Like right now, right? Fix and flip, very, very high risk strategy if you're going to do a fix and flip, unless you're getting a heck of a purchase deal, because we don't know where values are going to land. We don't know where the price is going to land. And right now prices are trending down, not up. Terrible time to be flipping, right? Number one. Number two is timeline. My belief is timeline is a huge component about managing risk. And if there's anything I'm doing right now is I'm trying to either do one of two things, is I'm really keeping my timeline super short so I can predict the outcome, or I'm going really long because it's safer to go long than it is to go in the medium. So I'm not entertaining anything in the kind of 12 to 2 year timeline. I'm looking, can I control this within like 30 to 60 days? Or I'm in this for 3 to 5 years. Yeah. Anything in between that, to me, the risk is up significantly from my perspective. That goes to BRRRRs, that goes to flips, that goes to developments. There's stuff that I'm in right now. I'm in the middle of it. So I gotta keep going, right? I gotta manage that risk as best as I can. But I'm really thinking far out, 3 to 5 years minimum, or really, really short, so I can predict the outcome. That's my thoughts on that, Patrick.
Well, yeah, and what's cool about what you just said is that you've developed a thesis. You have a view of the world, and then you're putting a plan in action against that view of the world. That we'll call it a thesis, for lack of better words, right at the moment. But the point is that, I go back even, JG, it was kind of the last quarter of 2021. I was looking at a presentation, a member meeting presentation, where one of the topics was, are we going to a recession? Because that conversation started in kind of like mid 2021. And as I said at that particular meeting, I've got the slide deck that shows it. I said, if you believe there's going to be a recession, now's the time to start mitigating risk. Do not over leverage. Make sure you have access to capital. Make sure your properties are maintained. If you need to extend a lease for a tenant, maybe approach that tenant and say, how do you like living here? Why don't we just renew a new lease? I'll give you a deal or whatever you want to do. But the point is, rents are going up. Why don't I lock you in for a minimal rent increase and we extend it for another year? All of these are strategies to mitigate the risk of a downturn in a market. So, we started talking about that. This is all to say this is that, like you said, okay, no, I'm not seeing the middle being all that comfortable for me. So here's what my strategy is. I'm going to pay attention to short-term stuff or very long-term stuff so that it has time to correct, and I think that's a great strategy too. The point is that you can't be sitting on the sidelines, frozen, thinking that something's going to happen and the switch is going to get flipped, and then, oh, here's my opportunity. You got to get in it and stay in it, and that's where the opportunities start to show up, and the strategies, by the way.